Hello and welcome to the show. Welcome to Real Talk with Mary Grace. It's Monday. It's Monday. Did I get the date right? Yes, it's April 5th. April 5th, 2021. This is Real Talk with Mary Grace, and you are watching me live. Welcome. I see a lot of people coming on YouTube. Where's the Facebook crew? Facebook, Twitter, aka Periscope, which supposedly disappeared. And I'm also on Clout Hub at channel 111, 111. I had a great Easter. It was a beautiful day here. Absolutely beautiful. So it's good to see everybody. Come on in. Glad you're here. How's the sound? How are we doing today on the sound? It's good to see everybody. Good to see you. Well, the reason that I'm on Facebook is because Twitter deleted me. They deleted my main account, so I'm using my backup account over there. That it is what it is. So, yeah, we're here for the Barley show. The Barley. Uh, it's like we ended up with a dog. We went to get a cat, but we ended up with a little dog. He follows us around. He waits at the door when you go out. He sits at the door when I'm outside working in the yard, and he cries to get out. It's so funny. It's like a little dog. Just very funny. Interesting. Okay. So everybody get down in here. Come on and let's talk. Let's have a little chat, and we will get going. Yeah, Twitter's got problems. So if you're not following me on Instagram, I'm going to start doing more posting over there, Mary Grace Media. That's really going to be more about lifestyle and motivation and things like that. Not that I don't motivate you here, but it's going to be more like a wellness and lifestyle approach over there. So make sure you're following that, Mary Grace Media, over on Instagram. And if you don't like Instagram, it's okay. You don't have to tell us. I'm taking advantage of the platform as long as I can. So I get that big tech is beyond what we actually beyond the pale, really. I totally understand that. And so I'm just going to keep I'm going to keep at it. Lindsay on YouTube, your account was suspended on the 8th. Yeah, mine was too, and they won't respond to me either. We'll see what happens. So let me just turn on. Hey, Jim, how are you? Okay, better light there. There we go. All right. Better light. Loving the superfoods. Yes, the superfoods lifestyle is so awesome. Now, you know what I think is really interesting is that I got to change my notes here. Is sorry about the noise. I want to talk about this thing. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is that the passport, the passport thing that they're requiring for travel and participating in society. I have to be oblique in my references to it because it is leading to the credit score. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You can put it in the chat. So there's this thing that some people are requiring. Governor DeSantis has already signed an executive order against it, saying that it will not happen in Florida, that you have to show proof that you had the jab, so that you can function in society, to go to a game, go to an event, go get on a plane, do any of these things. And he is taking a stand and saying absolutely not. First of all, it's a major violation of HIPAA. for anybody to know your business about uh, about whether anything, any medical procedure that you've had done. That's a privacy violation. It's a HIPAA violation, and so you have to show proof. But somebody was talking recently about there was a tech CEO on Instagram. I shared this with a couple of people, but she was saying that really this is just the gateway to what's known as the social credit score. And this is something that I've mentioned to you in the past. And this comes right out of that country that is on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, the really, really, really big one that has a huge landmass that's trying to take over Taiwan and um, all of the maritime territory around there. That country has infiltrated pretty much every aspect of our lives, and they're responsible for the virus. And so they have something in that country that is known as the social credit score. And if you think about your credit score now, I want to ask you a question. Did you sign up for that? Did you sign up to have different agencies monitoring how you spend your money and whether you're in debt or not, and have that affect pretty much every aspect of your life, from whether you can get a job or car insurance or life insurance or buy a house? That affects a lot. And some people are actually surprised to find that their information is given or sold to pretty much the whole world based on your buying and selling history. So they already have that information. And so the next step, and this is something that I've been warning about, is that they take your medical information and they combine that with your social interactions and your purchases and your life, the way that you live your life, your opinions, and so that whole thing combined becomes a social credit score, not just a financial credit score. But imagine being tracked in such a way that when you go to enroll your kid in school, you have black marks on your credit score that indicate that you have engaged in activity, either online or in person, that goes against the narrative. And because you've done that, you have a lower credit score. And in some cases, you can't actually get out of that. You can't climb out of that. And so it's tied to social and political and intellectual behavior, as well as into your medical behavior. And so if you get into this system, if this system is implemented, um, if the system is implemented, then it really controls everything. It's a worldwide kind of control, and it is it's an authoritarianism that has never ever been in place before in America. And the thing about it, to me, that is so surprising to me, is that people didn't see this coming with the face coverings. And I talked about this, last year when I told you that, uh, you know, people who are getting put out of businesses and not allowed to enter the premises on just the hunch or the idea that they might be sick is a very extremely slippery slope that will not end well. And so here we are on the verge of having people excluded from society because they have refused to take the shot, and because of their behaviors in public or private or whatever. And so this is a big deal, and it's coming up on social media. And I got into a conversation on Facebook the other day about it, and of course, there are people who think, "Oh, why not? Why wouldn't we have this? Why wouldn't you have to show proof of vaccination to get on a plane? Who wants to travel with all of these unvaccinated people?" This is some people's mindset. And my question is, okay, well, up until last week, people were traveling and flying with unvaccinated people, and they were packed into airplanes like sardines, breathing recirculated air, but all of a sudden they're justifying they're justifying requiring this now. So what changed in a week? Do you see how they do this? How they manipulate all of this? It's crazy. So here's the thing that I've been thinking about this though, is that I want you guys to help me figure this out because I haven't quite gotten to a conclusion. All right. Now they've told us for years that voter ID is racist. Is that correct? Are they still telling us that? They haven't changed that narrative. So here's where I have trouble following their narrative and their logic because voter ID is racist, but voter ID is racist. You have to have a vaccine passport to travel. All right. You have to have a vaccine passport to travel. Now, track with me here. You have to show an ID to get a vaccine. So, and you have to have the passport to travel, which means that you have to show that you have to show that you have to show the certificate or whatever. And you had to have an ID to get it. So how is the vaccine passport not racist? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because now, also, if you have to have that thing to function in society, to go to a game or to go to a concert or a play or whatever, wouldn't you have to have it to vote? How would they let everybody vote without it? I don't understand. Yeah. So, and so now we have all of these companies. We have companies like United coming out and speaking out not against the vaccine passport, but against the voter laws that are being put in place in in Georgia. So you might have noticed that the state of Georgia is actually reforming their voter laws to make it uh, easier to vote, harder to cheat. That's what the governor is saying, and so now, of course, the woke people are are coming out in droves, and Major League Baseball is boycotting Atlanta. They're not going to have their All Star game there. Uh, the a bunch of businesses are now, getting all political. And so United, this does have to do with the vaccine passport, but let me just read the statement that was put out by United Airlines. This is interesting. Oh, Minnie just closed her Citibank account. Good for you. Yeah, I'm urging everybody to do that. So, our mission is to connect people and unite the world. We believe that one of the most effective ways to do this is to engage in the democratic process, which begins with voting, a vital civic duty. America's democracy is stronger when we're all engaged, and every vote is properly counted. Uh, it's a republic, not a democracy. Some have questioned the integrity of the nation's election systems and are using it to justify stricter voting procedures, even though numerous studies have found zero credible evidence of widespread fraud in the US elections. I guess they don't consider the video footage of Ruby and her daughter moving ballots out from under a table in the State Farm Center valid evidence. I don't know. What more do you need, United? Um, okay. Legislation that infringes on the right to vote of fellow Americans is wrong. We believe that leaders in both parties should work to protect the rights of eligible voters by making it easier and more convenient for them to cast a ballot and have it counted. So, there's so much in that we could unpack. It's like, well, casting the ballot is not exactly um, the only end game here. To have it counted, that's not the only desire. We want the ballots to be cast legally, and we want them to be cast by citizens, and we want them to be cast by living people, and we want them to be counted fairly, without without somebody's thumb on the scale or on the computer program, for instance. And so the president is urging that people boycott. And this is something interesting because I'm not typically one who boycotts. I'm not a big fan of boycotting because I believe that it actually hurts the workers and the people lower down the chain. And so, um, hold on, I'm reading a comment. So, uh, people lower down the chain, the boycotts hurt them. And so I don't typically advocate boycotting. You guys know that about me. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is what the president said on Saturday. You know which president I'm talking about. There's only one. Statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. For years, the radical left Democrats have played dirty by boycotting products when anything from that company is done or stated in any way that offends them. Now they're going big time with woke cancel culture and our sacred elections. It is finally time for Republicans and conservatives to fight back. We have more people than they do by far. This is something I'm going to come back and talk about this. We have more people than they do by far. Boycott Major League Baseball, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, JP Morgan Chase, Viacom, CBS, Citigroup, Cisco, UPS, and Merck. Don't go back to their products until they relent. We can play the game better than them. They didn't even get approval of state legislatures, which is mandated under the U.S. Constitution. They rigged and stole our 2020 presidential election, which we won by a landslide, and then on top of that, boycott and scare companies into submission. Never submit, never give up. The radical left will destroy our country if we let them. We will not become a socialist nation. Happy Easter. So here you go. Coca-Cola, Major League Baseball, Delta Airlines, JP Morgan, Chase, Viacom, CBS, Citigroup, Cisco, UPS, and Merck. Yeah, so what do? You boycott. I'm boycotting these companies because and here's what I want to do. I want to pray that, the people who are working for these companies, that the people that are working in these companies, that they would still, if they're innocently working there and not participating in this ridiculous cancel culture, that God would protect them from losing their income, that he would provide another income for them, another livelihood, whatever it is. Now, the ones that are complicit, they need to wake up. They need to wake up. And so this is important because, we are the majority. We are the majority. And we have been a silent majority for a long time. But here's the thing. you can get uh, the majority can make an impact, and the left has been they've actually accomplished a great deal by being in the minority because they have co-opted the government. They've co-opted the schools. They've taken over the places of influence. And so that's why they've managed to get as much done legislatively as they've done by being a tiny, teeny, tiny little entity. Not that, and also the fact that they just steal and they just take your money and do whatever they want. So there's that. But I think that I think that uh, the the important thing here is to remember that we are the majority, and so it's time to vote with your dollars. And Dan Scavino put up an infographic about Coca-Cola and what it does to your body, and it's actually quite shocking. Uh, um, it's quite shocking. So if you're drinking sugary sodas to begin with, I would use this as an opportunity to stop. Um, and I like Coke. I've always liked it, but it's not worth it to me knowing what's in it and what it does to your body. And one of the things that is very interesting too about these sodas is that they are actually the sugar. Anytime you're eating sugar in this country, um, first of all, it's high fructose corn syrup, which is just hellish on your body and your liver. But also, the sugars and the corn are farmed industrially. They're industrially farmed, and this includes like all soda, okay? But it's industrially farmed, and the uh, the problem with that is that all of the crops are heavily sprayed with Roundup, which is they're GMO. They're sprayed with Roundup. GMO means that it's Roundup ready, and that is one of the biggest problems in American society today because a lot of the health problems that people have can actually be traced to the toxicity that's in your body because of consuming foods that are heavily sprayed with Roundup. And pretty much, if you ever eat grain or sugar of any kind that is produced here, uh, um, you're consuming that, and it's something called glyphosate. And one of the reasons that our superfoods that we have are so effective is that we actually have a product that has been clinically proven to remove that glyphosate from your system. And so that's why I'm so passionate about our superfoods. That's one of the reasons, because we're able to help your gut knows how to restore itself. And so when you give it the opportunity to do that, uh, then your body can actually absorb the nutrients of the food that we have, of our superfoods. It's a win-win combination. And so that's why I talk about superfoods. That's why people are having such amazing results with the superfoods. So before I forget, you can find out about superfoods at info@marygracemedia.com, info@marygracemedia.com, and you can get $100 voucher off of retail. So we have a 30-day reset program that you can do. So write to me to get that. Somebody mentioned atrazine. I'm not even as familiar with that, but I think that I think that it's important to understand that. And so the president could be doing you a big favor by telling you to boycott Coca-Cola, and that includes, Mr. President, Diet Coke. I can bet you if he's telling everybody to boycott Coca-Cola that he's changing over from something besides Diet Coke. And so, you know, um, that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah. And yeah, somebody said organic honey is good. Yeah, especially local. It's supposed to help with allergies. And so, I mean, Americans eat far too much sugar just in general. And that's one of the reasons that people are so heavy and that people have so many health problems. But I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. There are lots of bottled water brands that are owned by Coca-Cola. So keep that in mind. Um, uh, just remember that, okay? Uh, there's some memes going around showing what brands are owned by Coca-Cola. All right. Um, just it's kind of interesting. Now, I talked about the passport. I talked about the voter integrity, the election fraud. Did you notice how the criminals on the left, is the criminal cabal, they're so dramatic. Um, you know, it's like when AOC was down at the border last year and she was hanging on the fence and she was just a total drama queen. It's amazing how effective they can be with this tactic, especially because they have the media. And so they just get up on stage and act and get all dramatic, and then the media flocks to them and covers them. And then before you know it, the message is out there. They have monopolized that. But it's very interesting right now because they're now monopolizing the entire voting scandal or situation. And I wanted to point something out about this because I think it's important. It's important to see the angle that they're using on this, and this is important because what they're doing is they're trying to distract you from what's really important. Because right now they're trying to invoke a lot of emotion and passion about voting rights, and the truth is your voting rights and my voting rights were completely 100% trampled on by the fact that they stole the election. And the evidence is coming out, and it is we're having forensic audits in certain places, and that's going to show pretty conclusively what actually happened with the vote. And a lot of people don't know that because that's not in the media. That's not being advertised. What's being advertised is the fake news, which is telling you that those mean Republicans and state legislatures want to that they want to accuse you of oppressing voters and of preventing access to voting. And most of the public isn't going to go and research and look at the laws that are being made and realize that, for example, in Georgia, they're actually expanding voting time. They haven't cut voting hours. They did make it illegal to hand out water to people in line because that is a form of electioneering. And so the left is taking that and making it sound like these mean, horrible orange man bad Republicans are depriving people of nourishment while they're in line to vote. The truth of the matter is that you can bring your own water bottle if you're in line to vote. And people haven't figured that out because they think we're still in the middle of a pandemic. The only pandemic here is propaganda. That's the pandemic, the invisible enemy. But just keep that in mind because they want you to get waylaid by the drama of voter suppression. They want you to forget the real story here. The real story here is that our side is uncovering the election fraud, and that there are forensic audits that are going to be taking place. That's the real story because that's the truth that people need to get. So just don't forget that. Don't get too hung up on what it is that they're trying to tell you, because they're trying to shame you, just like they do with the entire, um, just like they do with the um, the pandemic, right? They try to shame you for not wearing the face covering. They want you to think that you're dirty and unclean and that you're spreading disease everywhere. It's the same kind of thing. There's a there's an emotional manipulation that they have mastered, and this is, unfortunately, it's just their way of doing things, and they always accuse you of doing what it is that they do, uh, and they're conditioning people. I mean, it's classic manipulation, and so just don't get fooled by the way that they're manipulating the narrative here. Uh, so, um, why would you want to stand in a long line and drink? You want to stand, if you're standing in line for a long time and it's hot, you might want a drink of water. That's all. Just bring your own. Everybody knows how to get a water bottle. Unless they think that black people aren't able to find water. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Um, Speaking of that whole racist thing, who um, I have a friend who is black, and he um, he put something on Facebook. He's a pastor, and hold on a second. Hold on, you guys. I have to mute for a second. Okay, a little interruption. It was my dad. Um, so getting dinner ready. Um, all right, so it's easier to vote in Georgia than it is in New York. Yeah. I mean, guys, this is all for show. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that they're manipulating all of this, and they're trying to manipulate people's. They're trying to manipulate people's emotions. But let me read what my friend wrote, Pastor Leo. He said, MLB continues to disrespect Black people with their condescending attitude of Black people, that Black people can't take care of themselves without help from racist, KKK loving, anti God Democrat Party overseers. I might get taken down for this. Black people are not homeless people living on the streets. To act as though they can't have an ID card or understand how to get one is pure racism. It's their embedded slave masters' behavior that they and other racists like them continue to display. Black people don't need MLB or the demonic, racist, anti God Democrat Party to take care of them and tell them who to vote for, how to vote, or even when they can vote. Get over yourselves. Remember, this is a black man writing this. The satanic, racist, anti God, anti Democrat Party is the foundation and source of racism in America today, and still the home of the KKK today. Their Black people population control agenda of defunding HBCU institutions, the butchering of over 24 million Black babies by their Planned Parenthood slaughterhouses, burning down of Black business areas, and their ownership of the 52 members of Congressional Black House Negroes proves their hatred and loathing of Black people remains, just with different tactics from their original KKK lynching agenda. Google it, fact check it, get it, and wake up. That's my friend. So, you know, there's an agenda out there, and the people that are pandering to this agenda are lying to you, just like just like the war on poverty, uh, just like um, the war on drugs, all of that got worse, right? And this is similar what they're doing with the voting. It's the going to be like the war on voter inequality. It's absolutely um, the opposite, because if they make it easier to vote in the way that they say, it's really just easier to cheat, you know. And everything that they're doing is racist. I mean, it's just inherently racist. And to assume that because of the color of your skin, you can't get an ID. I mean, that's literally the message that they're sending when they say that voter ID is racist. They're saying that black people don't know how to get IDs. How much more racist could you get? Imagine going up to one of your black friends and saying, "Hey, do you need help getting an ID? Do you need me to show you how to do that?" I mean, Greg, you can email me. I'll send it to you. I have a screenshot. Um, yeah, always calling attention to race and color is racist itself. It's true. And, the double standards are just shocking, because think about this, with the airlines, they're actually flying illegal aliens around, because the cartels are sending them into the country, and they're walking into the country with envelopes of cash and instructions of where to go. Or they're getting put on airplanes and sent all over the country to sanctuary cities. And do you think that they're being required to show a vaccine passport to get on the plane? I'll answer that for you. No, they're not. Um, they're not doing that. So, you know, um, all right, I want to shift gears here. What time is it? What time is it? 10 after. Okay. Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about. So I noticed something. I was listening to Wanda Alger the other day. She's a teacher slash prophetic person. And she was talking about change. And she read a scripture. I thought it was very interesting. She was reading from Romans 12, 1 and 2 in the Bible, in the New Testament. And so this is what she was talking about. I thought it was interesting. She said, she was reading 12, 1 and 2. It says, "Therefore, I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect." And she was talking about how she was talking about the renewing of the mind, and she compared it to not just thinking differently, but to having like a complete renovation of the mind. And I thought it was interesting. It really struck me. Uh, so I thought it was interesting because I was thinking about this, and I was reminded of a renovation that we went through here at the house. And it went way longer than I wanted it to. And I decided to renovate the house for my parents. My mom, who was alive at the time, was pretty severely disabled, and so I did a renovation where I took the upstairs and I put in a big driveway and a carport, a double carport, and I made everything zero transition, and then I closed in the carport that they had and turned that into a sunroom with an accessible bathroom and laundry. And so it's funny because now my dad spends probably 90% of his time in that sunroom. So that was a good investment. But the renovation itself was crazy, and it took way longer than it should have. Some of you were here followed me for some of that, because then I did a renovation downstairs after that. And so it was incredibly disruptive. How many of you have been through a renovation before? Raise your hand. Um, Especially like while you're living at the house. Um, I went through it, and it was really hard. It was really hard because, first of all, it's messy. It's really messy. And we have red dirt here in Virginia. And, and so it was crazy because even just like we have this concrete driveway. And so one of the things that I was um, really conscientious about was that I wanted to make sure that that nobody tracked red dirt on the driveway, because I didn't want to stain the driveway, but also because I didn't want my parents or anybody else to track the red dirt into the house on the light colored carpet. You can't get it out. And that was like an ongoing battle through the whole construction process, because the construction workers wanted to walk across our driveway. I actually finally I made them put down boards so that they could only walk on the boards, right? And we could stay off the boards. So that was one of the battles that we fought. The other one is that the contractor got sick in the very beginning of the process, and he sent his architect to project manage the project, and that was not a good situation. So I ended up project managing the whole thing, which was, again, crazy because I was trying to work from home, and I was trying to project manage. So I was, calling and trying to figure out where the electrician was for that day. Crazy stuff. And so that was that. And then after that got done, I'm still finding things that they didn't do correctly. But after that was done, I did some renovation of the downstairs, and I turned a laundry room into a kitchen slash bathroom, and a patio and things like that. That renovation isn't even finished because I got so tired of having workers in the house. It's the most uh, disruptive thing to be trying to work and have workers in the house, because it's sort of like when I was teaching kindergarten. If if they know that you're around, they're just going to interrupt you constantly. It's like, hey, what about this? Hey, it's almost better if you're not here, you know. But it, and then I didn't have use of the kitchen. I mean, it was crazy. And so the whole thing was incredibly disruptive. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I want you to think about something. I want you to think about the fact that, the president has told us that the best is yet to come. And okay, let me just back up. The renovation that I did for my parents, I also did the deck. It's beautiful. It turned out so well, and it serves their needs in such a beautiful way that, the end justified the time and the aggravation. They have this beautiful double carport. My mom could get in and out of the car even if it was raining. She didn't have to worry about falling. She could go in and out the door without help. I put, double doors so it would make it easy. Like, I thought of all this stuff. And so just knowing that my parents didn't have to go into assisted living. They didn't have to sell their house. They didn't have to move someplace where we had no idea who was looking out for them. Like, especially now, imagine, imagine right now if that had been the case, if they had gone into assisted living, it would have been a nightmare. You guys would have had to come get me out of jail because I would have broken in to get them. But let's go back to the analogy of what's happening in our country. The thing about renovating is that it's kind of unpredictable. And when you renovate, a lot of times, especially if you're taking things apart to rebuild things, you find some crazy stuff underneath what you're peeling back. And that was the case when I was doing the renovation downstairs. It turns out we started working on the floor and they said, "Oh, that's asbestos." I'm like, "No." Okay, so then that takes more time. And then we were trying to route some plumbing and they were saying, "Well, we're going to have to dig through all that rock. That's going to just take forever and that's going to be this much." Ching, 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 right? That takes longer. And then you pull out a wall and you find that, the wiring that was put in there was done by somebody that didn't know what they're doing. And so because you don't want the house to catch on fire, you're going to have the electrician redo that. And it's just like it's just a constant thing. I mean, you're just constantly peeling back layers and you're getting surprise, 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 surprise. And so that's part of the renovation process. Um and so the demo, yeah, so the renovation, I'm talking about the demo. Yeah, so before you renovate something. In my mind, it's all happening at the same time, okay? So, but the whole point is that, you know, generally when you do a renovation or building something, you have something in mind. You go on Pinterest, which I don't use anymore because they're anti-baby. But you get magazines, you get your dream book, you've got your colors, you've got your tile, you have this picture of what it's going to look like. It's going to look glorious. And so the end result that you're picturing at some point will exist, but the process of getting there can be incredibly painful and messy and mind altering in some ways and maddening. And so I was thinking about this because, the Bible is telling us to have a renovation of our minds. And I think that a lot of what is happening for people right now in this political process is that people are being challenged in ways that we didn't realize we were going to be challenged. And we are being put in a position where I think that people are having to do a lot of self-reflection about what we expected and what we see right now. Now, I truly believe that the end result is still what we expect. But right now we're in the process. We're in the ugly, dirty, like, can't believe this exists in the walls of my house process. And and that is a hard place to be because it's ugly and smelly and it's scary in some ways to see what is there. And right now I'm talking about the revelation that we're getting about our nation, about the political process, about the deep state, about the people that have been really engaged in criminal activity for a very long time. And so we're seeing that play out, but we're also being challenged personally, spiritually, emotionally to deal with what we're seeing on many, many levels. Some of us, it's challenging us because it's bringing up memories. So, for example, when we find out about the things that the trafficking, the things that they're doing to innocent people, that brings up memories. When we find out, the stuff that the money laundering, right? The corruption, the fact that they really don't work for us at all. When you understand the depths of corruption that are happening, there's a lot that's parallel to what's actually happening in your own personal experience. And so I really want to encourage you to look at the long game, because the reason that God is telling us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds is because he has the sanctified version of you in mind when he tells you to do that. He has the healthy, healed, renewed version of you. And sometimes getting there is a painful and ugly process. When you have to go through a lot of emotional stuff when you start doing that renovation. And I wanted to submit to you that that is where we are as a nation, that we are going through the process of really finding out the truth about a lot of stuff. And so, picture when you find out that so and so has done these things. And there's going to be a lot of revelation, guys. I want you to know that. I want you to know that people are going to be exposed, that people that you thought were good will be exposed. I think it's going to happen in the clergy. It's going to happen more in government, not just the people that we think are bad right now, that we know, like the pencil neck Adam Schiffs of the world. I'm talking about people that you thought were good and trustworthy, that as they get exposed, it's like, oh, I thought my house was stable, and it turns out termites ate the whole foundation. And so the thing that I thought was going to take this much lumber and this much time and this much money has now turned into, we need a new foundation. So I think that that is where we are. And so again, going back to what God is saying, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to rebuild and to expose the foundation down to the very rotten places that have to be completely removed and exposed and taken out. And it has to be exposed that way. And then if you're willing to do the work personally, spiritually, God is challenging you to do that work in yourself as well. And this is something that I've been talking about because I see a lot of people who are losing faith, who are losing heart, who feel like they just can't go on. Well, the truth of the matter is God's vision for you and his destiny on your life is way bigger than you just giving up when you see, rotted boards in the foundation of your life or in the foundation of this nation. He's not intending for you to stop there and to stop growing and to stop transforming and to stop coming into glory, because his word says, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And his will is for you to prosper. His will is for this nation to prosper. His will is for you to grow through the pain and through the challenges and to be a better person and to be the person that he created you to be. So I really want to urge you to dig deep and to work on that renovation process within yourself, and to understand and to pray for the people that are engaged in this process in our nation and in the world. Because as they're going through this process, I can guarantee you that they're coming across these little surprises. The things that they just when they think that they're closing in on a a bust or an investigation. Think about it. It's a major renovation, and so they might actually unpeel another layer and find even more layers of filth and disgust. And so they might have to course correct in the process. And so your patience is really important at this stage of the game, and also your prayer and your commitment to doing the work that you need to do personally to come out of the other side of this a better person, a stronger person, able to take up the mantle of rebuilding this nation and to be a citizen that is truly involved. And it's hard to do that when you haven't done the work yourself about what it is that the deep work of renovation. That's why he says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Uh, which is that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. So he has a will for you, and it's that you perfect the process, not that you walk away and give up at the first sign of trouble. So that is the word that I wanted to give you today, and I hope that you find that encouraging And because this is we're in this for the long haul, and so I don't want you to give up. Pastor Robin Bullock has a good word for today. I'll go back and listen to it. Yeah. If you haven't been listening to Elijah streams, there's some very encouraging words on there and very encouraging, prophetic voices. And the other one, the other night, Amanda Grace was giving a talk. It was on Saturday. And she actually, it's her channel is called Ark of Grace. She was talking about the prophetic and she was actually giving some teaching on it. And so I encourage you to go and listen to that teaching that she gave, because she was going a little bit deeper into understanding, how God speaks through people in this modern age. And then also, how to have accountability and to be encouraged in the process that we're in. So, be at peace because God has great things for you, for our nation. He has not given up on our country at all. And so he's not giving up on you either, but this is the time for you. You're getting a little bit of a reprieve from 24/7 Donald Trump coverage to really reflect and to do the work that we all need to do to get to the next place. Okay. So, and it's awesome. It's awesome to have this opportunity. And I don't want to go away without forgetting, make sure you go to my website, marygracemedia.com. If you want to partner with me on this show, if you want to support the show, go to marygracemedia.com and click on support. You can also support the show and your own health by purchasing superfoods. That's really win-win, because I'm getting stories all the time of people who are having incredible experiences with the superfoods. I was telling you earlier about gut health and how the food that we eat and the experiences in our lives actually can have a really negative impact on that. A lot of people say that your gut is your second brain. And so people who are experiencing brain fog, a lot of times they get diagnosed and they think that they're having Alzheimer's or dementia. In some cases, it's really diet. And so, if you're in that situation, I wanted to tell you, I have a friend who has been having some memory issues, and she's been through some incredibly stressful times, and she also went through a really intense surgery, and she actually almost died, and so her body has been through tremendous stress, and she's been involved in a lawsuit. There's just been a lot of things that have happened. Well, it's really been affecting her memory. And she called me today. She started the superfoods about 3 weeks ago, and she told me today. She said, "I'm getting my memory back." She said, "I'm functioning better in the office. I can feel it. I can feel it restoring. I can feel the brain fog lifting." And that is because of what's happening with our superfoods, the way that it's helping her gut to restore itself. It's very powerful what we have. And so, if you're in a situation like that, um, it is it's info@marygracemedia.com. I want you to write to me and get a promo code so that you can save $100 off of your retail of a 30-day transformation. I recommend a 90-day transformation, so, like 3 months in a row, so that you can really, tackle and tap into the things that have been going on, because it didn't take you like 30 days to get there. And so your body's crying out for nourishment, basically. Uh, Somebody just said they're getting notices if you order anything, will it go to you? I'm pretty sure, Vicky, just email me and I'll double check and make sure you're in the system for sure. Is superfoods good for menopause? That's a great question. Yeah, isn't that good news about my friend? She was so happy. And yeah, so on YouTube asking about menopause. Yeah, so one of the things that happens a lot with women go through tons of hormonal changes. And so you can definitely support that through diet for sure. And I've seen some really incredible testimonials from people who have had their hormones completely out of whack. And when they get the superfoods in, the body starts to reset itself. Your body is designed to do the right thing. And so when you put the right foods into it and the right nutrients and the right combination, your body is going to know what to do. Um, so yeah, write to me about the juice bar and I'll send you the information about that. But it's just amazing. So yeah, write to me. I'll send you the link about the superfoods. So if you want to look into that, the answer about menopause is that it helps a lot of people. Yeah. Also, people who are having infertility. I've heard a lot of stories about that, about how, they've seen a change and actually been able to get pregnant because, their body is able to absorb the nutrients finally and restore itself and get out of that stress state. It's amazing, really. It's amazing. Um, yes, write to me. Yeah. There's some things that can help you. All right. So I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is the, what's tomorrow? The 6th of April, 2021. And I just realized I lost my little caption on the front of my thing today. Hold on a second. Hold on. Isn't that weird? It just went away. What's today? Huh. Okay, we'll see if it comes back. Um, yeah, it is amazing. Oh, you need the juice bar. Wait, did you write to me about the juice bar? Oh, I thought I responded to you about that. Sorry. I took the weekend off. So many hormone disruptors are in our food these days. Exactly. Yeah, they really are. Yeah. There's a lot of problems with the stuff that's in the food. It's really bad. And so again, your body knows what to do when you give it the tools to reset and restore. And so that's what the superfoods help with. Um, I, I am managing I'm managing way too many email accounts right now. So just write to me again. We'll get it sorted out. Okay. I will be back tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern right here on Mary Grace Media. Again, make sure you're following my Instagram, Mary Grace Media, because I'm going to start putting up other content on there that's more lifestyle and motivational oriented and that kind of thing. Okay. So there's something in our superfoods too that will help you sleep. I think you're really going to like it. Um, yeah. So write to me. Okay, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Great chat. And go back if you missed the last part of my show today, go back and listen because God has a word for you to encourage you. And this is an important time to be encouraged and to make sure that you are really doing the work and not checking out. Don't check out. Check in. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great evening, everybody.